Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zita, and on my channel I share with you DIYs and makeovers on a budget. And don't forget to follow me over on my socials at Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Etsy. So let's get started on today's DIYs. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I created this beautiful decoupaged planter using this thrifted box and this thrifted shutter. And first of all, I'm going to repair this piece that's lifting up here in the corner. I was going to use my Gorilla Glue, but it was dried up on me. So I had some wood glue on hand. So I applied my wood glue and then I clamped down that corner piece and I let that sit overnight just to make sure that the glue was completely dry and that piece wasn't going to come up. And once that was all dry, the next day I am using my homemade chalk paint here and painted the shutters. And if you haven't tried the homemade chalk paint, I do have a video with this recipe, so you can try that out. And guys, I would have applied a Fusion Ultra Grip to this shutter before I applied my paint because that surface was kind of slick. So this box, I did create a fall DIY on this, and if you haven't seen that video, you can go look at that. So I decided to change it up. So here I'm sanding off those words and trying to get off as much of that napkin as possible. But I didn't want to spend too much time trying to sand this down, but you'll see afterwards I had to sand it down completely. So I gave this a few coats of paint just to make sure that pumpkin napkin wasn't going to show through. And this is the beautiful lavender napkin that I'm going to apply to this. And guys, you see here I pulled off one ply of the napkin. Well, I'm so used to using dollar store napkins that are 2-ply that I only peeled off 1 ply and not even thinking that this may have been 3-ply. And I found out later that this was a 3-ply napkin because I was working on some smashed cans and saw that another layer of the napkin was coming up when I was decoupaging. So you'll see here the big mistake that I made by not removing this 3rd ply. So anyway, I'm continuing on here. I'm applying water to the napkin and then I'm going along the lavender and ripping that off. Now you can also do this just with your fingers. You don't have to wet it if you don't want to. You can just do it with your fingers, but I wet it all the way around the lavender to take off as much excess as possible. So here I'm putting it on my box and putting it in place, and I start from the center out with my Mod Podge, guys, or whatever decoupage medium you're using. I'm using Mod Podge here at the moment. So I go half and half, apply my Mod Podge, work it towards the end, apply that with, you can use saran wrap, a plastic bag. I'm using an old shower cap here. It's a really soft plastic. I just keep this in my craft room all the time. So I'm applying my Mod Podge, and then I use the Mod Podge on the other half and apply that down and use my little shower cap plastic here to smooth it out. And I find doing it this way, guys, I find you don't get as much wrinkles if you kind of do this half and half method from the center. So once I had that done, I removed a few more pieces of lavender on the napkin and applied it to the end just so the lavender was going all the way across the box. So after the Mod Podge was completely dried, I did use a light coat of dry brush chalk paint on top just to blend everything in. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. So here I have some thrifted grapevine, and I'm just taking it apart with my snippers there, and I'm using some floral wire to hold it together. And this size was perfect to put on the shutter, and I'm just making this very simple with 3 sprigs of lavender, just so it doesn't take away from the simplicity of the box. And I did use some hot glue to make sure those lavender pieces were going to stay in place. So I gave my shutter, I think 3 or 4 coats of chalk paint, and now I'm giving it a light sanding with a 220 grit sandpaper just to smooth everything out, and I did wipe away that dust with a wet cloth. And right here I'm using the IOD typesetting stamps. These are some letters and numbers. And if you're buying these new guys, you're going to want to give them a light sanding. I'm using my 220 grit sanding block here. Just give them a light sanding. This is going to help your ink stick to the stamps better. And right here I'm spelling out the word bloom and kind of lining up where I want it on the top of my shutter. And there's only 1 letter of each in the package, guys, so I'm just kind of using a letter that's kind of the same size as the O here, just to get everything in place and see how far apart I need to put the letters. So once I have them where I want, I kind of do a little measurement here as well, just to make sure I have everything lined up equally. Then you're going to get your thin mount plastic here to take it up off the shutter, and then you're going to be able to put your ink on it then. And this thin mount has a grid on it, so it's going to help you line up your letters here, which you're going to see me do just to make sure they're all lined up perfectly. But you'll see after I've stamped it on that it's not completely perfect, but usually no handcrafted item is completely perfect, but that's okay. That's what makes it unique and special, and you know that it's handmade by someone that put their time and energy into the piece. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so it does kind of bother me sometimes that it's not completely lined up, but I'm trying to get over that and realize that it's a handcrafted piece and it's not going to be completely perfect. So this is where it didn't completely line up, where I had to use that O again afterwards because there's only 1 O, so I didn't put it in the right spot. Maybe I should have used my thin mount, but that's okay. I think it turned out beautiful. It looks beautiful. So does that kind of stuff bother you guys? Let me know in the comments. So as you can see here, the O is a little bit off. So after that, ink on the stamping was completely dry. Don't put your polyacrylic on before that's dry, guys. So I am using a polyacrylic here to seal all that chalk paint in and to seal in that ink. And here, guys, I did put a polyacrylic on the top of this box because, as I was saying before, I made a big mistake by not checking to see if this napkin was 3-ply. And it was, because I was working on some cans, guys, and realized that it was 3-ply. So I did not want to leave this on this piece and potentially have that top layer of that napkin come off. So as you can see, I worked on this whole thing again, got all that napkin off, and sanded everything off the piece, guys, and started over again. So guys, check your napkins, make sure they're 2-ply or 3-ply. I ordered these napkins, beautiful napkins from Knitting Napkins. Like, they come single, right? Is because you can pick out whatever types of napkins you want. So I forgot that there were 3-ply. So you wouldn't even really know, guys, but it was really hard to get off that other last ply of napkin. I had to use that little dental pick tool to get it off. So I did the whole process over again, guys, and I feel happy because I'm going to sell this piece, and I didn't want it potentially coming off the piece, that top layer of the napkin. So I did the whole process over again. It took me, you know, 3 or 4 hours of my time again to get all that done. But so you guys can learn from this mistake I made. So here I'm putting the piece together. I'm using my Ryobi cordless nail gun here. I love this. Make sure you're using safety precautions, guys. Put your safety glasses on. I do have safety glasses on here. And make sure you have the proper nails, length of nails in your gun, guys, because you don't want it to come through. I started out with nailing in the middle there, and it did slightly come through the piece. Didn't quite come through, but it was right at the surface, and you'll see that. So I had to paint inside the box again because it slightly came through. But so make sure your nails are the proper length. So as you can see there in the middle of the box, that little piece, yeah, I had to paint there because the nail came to the surface, so it wasn't the same thickness. So this is what it looks like, guys. What do you think? I put some faux lavender in the middle there, and that wreath on there is just simple and ties in so nicely with the box. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of this beautiful piece, and let me know if it has inspired you guys to create something like this. And please learn from my mistakes. If you haven't subscribed yet, guys, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to give this video a like and a comment. I work very hard on all of these videos, so I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for sharing some of your time with me.